intégré notre grande école, les anciens vous en félicitent. Vos professeurs feront de vous l'élite des médecins vétérinaires et vos anciens vous aideront à devenir une famille pour la vie. Mais, d'abord, vous allez devoir apprendre. Apprendre à être unis, apprendre à obéir, apprendre à être de bons bisous.
Welcome to Kermode Uncut. There's a new film coming out this week called Raw by French filmmaker Julia Ducournau, and it's just terrific. I really, really like it. I'm going to review it in full on the Radio 5 live show I do with Simon Mayo on Friday. But one of the things that the film is about, and it's about many things, is cannibalism, the taboo subject of cannibalism. So I thought this was an ideal time to give you my top 10 cannibal movies. At number 10, the big daddy of cannibal movies, Cannibal Holocaust by Ruggero Deodato. Now, there are a lot of problems with that film. It is a very nasty film that involves a lot of stuff that the BBFC have wrestled with over the years. But two things are important. One is that it effectively gave us the found footage genre. I mean, Blair Witch Project is thought of as the beginning of the found footage genre, but actually Cannibal Holocaust is where it all really begins. And secondly, there is a Cannibal Holocaust reference in Kong Skull Island, the current blockbuster by Jordan Vogt Roberts. That is how you know that it's infiltrated its way into the mainstream.
You may never again spend a night away from home. After you spend a night with Ida and Vincent.
At number 9, Motel Hell, a slightly more comedic take on the subject of cannibalism. I remember seeing this at an all-nighter at the Scala and then later on getting it out on video and really enjoying just how silly it was. The best thing about it is it's a film in which the guilt that the guy who makes meat out of human meat really suffers from is the fact that he uses preservative.
Right, now let's get the numbers up there and stick it in the Wolf's restaurant at the top there. Cock gently. You want to pull yourself together for it because it's been happening for Corey?
At number 8, The Cook, the Thief, His Wife and Her Lover, Peter Greenaway's film in which cannibalism went art house. One of the reasons I included this is because I remember being at one of the first showings of The Cook, the Thief at some, upmarket cinema in London, in which the art house crowd were utterly offended and shocked by the final revelations of cannibalism. I just remember thinking, you should come to my house, I'll show you something really shocking.
I hope you make this a permanent item on your menu. It's French.
No, actually it's more Spanish.
It's so tender.
On to number 7, and a genuine cult classic, Eating Raoul from Paul Bartel. The story is an uptight couple end up bumping off swingers and then getting rid of their corpses, initially for dog food, but finally finding their way onto the table, as the title suggests. That's not a plot spoiler, incidentally. Eating Raoul is the title of the film. It's really dark, it's really funny, it really stands up. I had to watch it again recently, and it's still every bit as edgy as it was when it first came out back in 1982.
You know what Nando said? What? He said if he gets too weak, he's gonna eat one of the pilots. You know, for crashing the plane.
At number 6, Alive, a true story tragedy which is somehow turned into a life-affirming movie, or at least they attempt to do that with it. It's an interesting film, slightly flawed, has the most astonishing air crash at the beginning. I remember when we first saw it, many critics coming out saying, is that the most terrifying air crash you've ever seen? After that, the film sort of downshifts into the rather more mundane business about how eating people is worse than eating airline food.
I heard Sebastian scream. He screamed just once. Then I...
At number 5, One from the Vault, Suddenly Last Summer, Joseph Mankiewicz's 1959 adaptation of Tennessee Williams' play that was billed on the posters as being about powers and passion without precedent in motion pictures. An extremely overwrought but rather brilliant central performance by Elizabeth Taylor as the traumatised young woman going through psychoanalysis to reveal a deep, dark secret. Incidentally, an awful lot of people involved in that film didn't like it very much, most notably Tennessee Williams, who said that watching it made him want to throw up.
I'm asking you to disperse. The supply of Soylent Green has been exhausted. You must evacuate the area. The scoops are on their way. The scoops are on their way.
At number 4, a massive plot spoiler, Soylent Green, in a list of cannibal movies. Sorry.
You've tasted it, felt its power, yet you're resisting. Why?
Because it's wrong. Morality.
Into the top 3, and at number 3, Ravenous. I include that in this list because it's a film by Antonia Bird, who I've spoken about before here on the blog. A really, really versatile and interesting filmmaker. Ravenous is fairly indefinable. I mean, yes, it is a film about cannibalism, but it's also a very dark, satirical comedy, and it's got a lot of other stuff going on in it. If you haven't seen Ravenous, it's really worth checking out. In fact, Antonia Bird's entire back catalogue is worth checking out.
Vamos a hacer.
Tienes que tomar el lugar de papá.
Ante yo decidiré lo que va a ser la familia. Yo no te tengo miedo. Deberías.
Top 2 time, and at number 2, We Are What We Are. Not the recent English language remake, although that actually was pretty decent, but the 2010 Mexican original. It's a really dark, really strange, really interesting film that rather unfortunately was sold on DVD with the phrase "a cannibal gore fest," which didn't do the film or the audience any favours at all. I mean, yes, it is about cannibalism. It ain't a cannibal gore fest though. It's a really strange, very unsettling and very haunting movie. And actually, the remake is pretty good too.
The Piranha women believe that men should be slaughtered and eaten with guacamole dip. And you think that's wrong? Yes! We believe they should be eaten with clam dip.
Which brings me to the number 1 spot, and it will be no surprise to anyone to learn that my favourite cannibal movie of all time is Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death, originally released here in the UK on video as Piranha Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death because the BBFC had a problem with anything with the word cannibal in the title. The story is there are 2 warring tribes of women in the avocado jungle, and they have fallen out because they cannot agree whether to eat men with clam dip or with guacamole dip. It's a really terrific satire. It's got a starring performance by Bill Maher. Yes, that Bill Maher. And it was written and directed by the guy who went on to write a script called 3000, which was then optioned and turned into a movie which became Pretty Woman. Believe me, Cannibal Women is a lot funnier than it sounds. It's so great that I'm quoted on the DVD cover, and I'm very proud of that. So there we are, my top 10 cannibal movies. Frankly, you can take them or leave them, but do not miss out on Raw when it opens in UK cinemas on Friday.